Born on January 8, 1949, in the quiet town of Cedar City, Utah, Les Hulet was destined to carve his name into the annals of horse racing history. Far from the roaring crowds and polished racetracks, his love for horses began in the rugged landscapes of his hometown. What started as a childhood fascination quickly ignited into a life-changing passion, a calling that would soon take him beyond Utah's borders to one of New York's most iconic racing arenas. From his earliest days, Hulet was captivated by the speed, the competition, and the sheer power of the horse beneath him. He wasn't just dreaming about racing, he was preparing to own the track. There was something bold, almost electric, about the way he approached the sport. Unlike others who simply rode for victory, Les rode with purpose, grit, and a burning desire to leave a mark. His journey from a small-town boy to a jockey of national recognition was not just a rise through the ranks, it was a relentless pursuit of greatness. Les Hulet's story didn't begin in the spotlight, but it was always destined to end there. And what followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Les Hulet burst onto the professional horse racing scene in the early 1970s, and it didn't take long for the racing world to take notice. While many jockeys spend years clawing their way to recognition, Les wasted no time. He arrived at Finger Lakes Racetrack in Farmington, New York, and within a few seasons, his name became synonymous with power, precision, and fearless riding. This wasn't just the beginning of a career, it was the birth of a legend. Hulet's riding style was magnetic, blending aggressive strategy with razor-sharp instincts. Fans packed the stands, not just to watch the races, but to watch Les Hulet dominate. His ability to read the race, position his horse, and make bold, split-second decisions made him a standout in a fiercely competitive field. While others chased victories, Les consistently delivered them, stacking up win after win and setting a blistering pace for the rest of the jockey colony. At Finger Lakes, he wasn't just another rider, he was the one to beat. His early success wasn't a fluke, it was the first powerful surge of a career that would go on to shatter records and define an era. Les Hulet didn't just compete at Finger Lakes, he ruled it. His reign over the track was undeniable, as he seized the title of leading jockey an astonishing 5 times in 1977, 1979, 1980, 1984, and 1985. Year after year, Les didn't just show up, he owned the moment. In a sport where champions can fade as quickly as they rise, Hulet's consistency was nothing short of extraordinary. He wasn't a one-season wonder, he was a long-term force. Every time he entered the starting gate, there was a buzz in the air, a mix of excitement and fear. Because if Les was in the race, everyone else was suddenly running for second place. His dominance wasn't about luck, it was about precision, stamina, and an almost instinctive understanding of both the horse and the race. Trainers wanted him. Owners trusted him. Fans adored him. His name became a fixture in Finger Lakes racing, a benchmark that others would chase but rarely reach. Les Hulet didn't just race at Finger Lakes, he became its legend, its heartbeat, its king. And in doing so, he carved out a legacy that still echoes through the paddock to this day. In 1999, Les Hulet reached the pinnacle of recognition, becoming the first jockey ever inducted into the Finger Lakes Racetrack Hall of Fame. It wasn't just a trophy, a plaque, or a ceremony, it was history being written in real time. Hulet's name wasn't simply added to a list, it became the foundation on which the Hall of Fame was built. This milestone wasn't handed to him, it was earned through decades of relentless work, fearless competition, and unmatched consistency. Finger Lakes had seen many jockeys come and go, But none had ruled the track, inspired the fans, and elevated the sport the way Les did. When his induction was announced, it wasn't a surprise. It was a moment of confirmation. Everyone already knew he was a legend. The Hall of Fame just made it official. Being the first meant something deeper. It meant that when future jockeys dreamed of greatness, Les Hulet's shadow would be the one they'd chase. His story became a blueprint, his achievements a golden standard. This wasn't the end of his career, it was his crowning moment, his legacy carved in stone, forever remembered at the heart of Finger Lakes. In 1981, Les Hulet delivered the ride of a lifetime. Mounted on a tough, underrated New York bred named Fio Rito, Hulet charged into the spotlight at the Grade 1 Whitney Handicap at Saratoga, one of the most prestigious races in American horse racing. What happened next would etch both their names into the history books forever. In a sport often dominated by Kentucky and California-bred royalty, Fio Rito's victory was a seismic shock. No New York-bred had ever won this race before. They weren't supposed to. But Les Hulet didn't ride like an underdog that day. He rode like he was born for the moment. With nerves of steel and perfect tactical timing, he guided Fio Rito to a victory that shattered expectations and flipped the racing world on its head. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Les Hulet and Fio Rito had defied the odds, the traditions, and the gatekeepers of elite racing. That victory became Hulet's career-defining triumph, a moment where skill, heart, and history collided. It proved that Les Hulet wasn't just the king of Finger Lakes, he was capable of conquering the biggest stages. Les Hulet's career wasn't just built on moments, it was built on numbers that demanded respect. Over the span of nearly 3 decades, Hulet racked up an astounding 3,816 career wins out of 25,286 starts. These aren't just statistics, they're a testament to a lifetime of grit, endurance, and mastery in the saddle. In a sport where even great jockeys can fade, Les kept showing up, race after race, year after year, consistently delivering results. His win count didn't just place him among the best at Finger Lakes, it ranked him among the top jockeys of his era across the nation. Think about it. 25,286 times he loaded into the starting gate. 25,286 times he stared down risk, strategy, and speed. And nearly 4,000 times he crossed the finish line first. That's not luck. That's legendary skill backed by unwavering dedication. His numbers told the story of a man who didn't just chase glory. He chased greatness and caught it again and again. Les Hulet's career statistics weren't just impressive, they were historic. They formed the backbone of his legacy, proof that he was more than a champion. He was a machine of consistency and success. Les Hulet wasn't just a champion on the track, he was a leader in the jockey's room. Beyond the roar of the crowds and the glory of the finish line, Hulet served as the head of the local Jockeys Guild, earning deep respect from his peers. In a sport that can be fiercely individual, Les stood out as a rider who fought for everyone. He became the voice of the jockeys, advocating for their safety, fair treatment, and better working conditions. His leadership wasn't about titles, it was about trust. His fellow riders knew that when Les Hulet spoke, it mattered. Known for his unshakable integrity, cool-headed decision-making, and fearless commitment to his fellow riders, Hulet's influence stretched far beyond his own saddle. He protected the sport from the inside, making sure the people who risked their lives every day had someone in their corner. While many saw him as the king of Finger Lakes, Those who rode alongside him saw him as something more, a protector, a mentor, a man of principle. Les Hulet didn't just lead with his talent. He led with his heart, his voice, and his relentless dedication to his fellow jockeys. Les Hulet's greatness wasn't measured by victories alone. It was written in the way he carried himself. On and off the track, Les was the definition of dignity, sportsmanship, and unshakable professionalism. In an industry where tempers can flare and egos can clash, Les Hulet remained calm, respectful, and grounded. His competitors admired him, not just because he was one of the most talented jockeys of his generation, but because he never let success cloud his character. Win or lose, Hulet handled every race with grace. Fans loved him. Fellow jockeys trusted him. Trainers and owners sought him out, not just for his skill, but because his name carried weight. His handshake carried honor. He wasn't the loudest voice in the room, but when Les Hulet spoke, people listened. His personal reputation became just as legendary as his stats. Les was a man you could root for, not just as a jockey, but as a person. His story proves that true greatness comes from more than crossing the finish line first. It comes from how you treat people, how you carry yourself, and how you leave the sport better than you found it. And Les Hulet did exactly that. In 1999, Les Hulet rode into retirement, but his story was far from over. He didn't simply hang up his saddle, he left behind a legacy that still pulses through the heart of Finger Lakes Racetrack. Les Hulet's career wasn't about flash. It was about relentless consistency, tireless hard work, and a level of excellence that became the gold standard. Year after year, race after race, he showed up, delivered, and inspired. When he stepped away from the sport, he didn't just leave empty silks behind. He left a blueprint for what greatness looks like. Even after his final race, his name remained a fixture at the track. New jockeys walked through the paddock, chasing the legend of Les Hulet. His story became a guide, a challenge, a quiet whisper in every starting gate. Can you measure up to him? Les Hulet's retirement didn't end his impact, it magnified it. He became part of the track's DNA, part of its living history. And long after the crowds went home, the memory of his work ethic, his victories, and his undeniable class continued to ride on. His legacy is not just remembered, it is still alive. In September 2018, Les Hulet passed away at the age of 69 after a courageous battle with brain cancer. His loss was deeply felt, not just at Finger Lakes, but across the entire horse racing community. Yet as powerful as his absence was, his impact continues to echo through the sport. Les Hulet wasn't just another name in the racing program. He was a legend, a leader, a man whose story still fuels the dreams of young jockeys and racing fans alike. His life wasn't defined by his illness. It was defined by the fire with which he lived, rode, and inspired others. Even after his passing, his influence remains woven into the fabric of Finger Lakes Racetrack. His victories, his leadership, and his relentless professionalism continue to set the standard. For every young jockey stepping into the starting gate, Les Hulet is still there, an unspoken challenge, a silent mentor, a legend to chase. His story didn't end in 2018. It lives on, not just in the record books, but in the hearts of those who dare to ride with courage, dignity, and the same unbreakable spirit Les Hulet showed the world. Les Hulet's story isn't just about numbers, trophies, or even the races he won. It's about what it means to leave something behind that truly matters. In the pounding heartbeats before the gates burst open, in the thunder of hooves over dirt, in the split-second decisions that separate legends from the forgotten. Les Hulet built a legacy brick by brick, race by race, with patience, courage, and relentless drive. He was never just racing for himself. He raced for the sport. He raced for his fellow riders. He raced for a life defined by integrity. From a small-town boy in Cedar City, Utah, to the undisputed king of Finger Lakes, Les Hulet didn't just conquer the track, he became its heartbeat. He led with grace, he fought for his fellow jockeys, and he shattered ceilings when he became the first rider ever inducted into the Finger Lakes Racetrack Hall of Fame. Even in retirement, his legend never faded. And though he left us in 2018, his story refuses to rest. Every starting gate at Finger Lakes still carries his shadow. Every young jockey who straps on their boots still chases his ghost. Because Les Hulet didn't just ride horses, he rode his way into history. And legends like his, they don't die, they ride on. So the next time you hear the crack of the gates, the next time you feel the pulse of a race, remember Les Hulet, the man who proved that consistency beats flash, that honor beats arrogance, and that greatness is earned one race at a time. His story is a reminder. True champions don't chase applause. They build legacies that never leave the track.